evening, Mr. Lloyd Smith will be from the educational series. Lloyd writes, "You probably noticed the stylish and attractive ribbons on our club banners. They're not just decorations. Most of them are awards for what the Cascade Speakeasy Club has accomplished in the Toastmasters International Distinguished Club program. This evening, Lloyd Smith will present a module from the Toastmasters International Successful Club series, which is part of the organization's educational program. Lloyd will briefly describe the Distinguished Club program and explain why it's important to you and I. Lloyd Smith and how to be a distinguished club."
It's quite likely that this is going to be something of a review for some of you and totally new to others of you, which presents an interesting problem. How much detail is in that? What I'd like to do first is present on those and pass them down, please. We have a handout. And whoops, I'm going to keep one for myself. Thank you. The idea behind the Distinguished Club program is really pretty simple. It's supposed to be an indicator of how the club is doing. Believe it or not, the DCP, as the insiders call it, is very controversial. People who think that it warps the purpose of Toastmasters to get in a sort of a competition. So it's important to understand that we're not really in competition with other clubs. In other words, it would be theoretically possible for every single club on earth to become a President's Distinguished Club. We don't knock other people out by doing so. In fact, that would be a good thing as far as Toastmasters International is concerned. Now, what the DCP recognizes, notice these ribbons over here that say President's Distinguished and Select Distinguished and whatnot, is the quality of the club in two senses. First of all, the quality, the activity of the members in achieving their individual goals and the functioning of the club in achieving its business type goals, I guess you would say. Let's first talk about the members. If you look at the side of your handout that looks like this, two columns, that this is actually an explanation of how the Toastmasters program works. And as you can see here, I'm not going to, believe me, I'm not going to read all of this, but probably make you pretty happy. But the way it works is that there are two tracks, communications track and the leadership track. And the communications track is on the left, and as you can see there, it starts at the top where every single one of us started, and that is with the Competent Communicator Award. That's the first manual you get, the one that's got the 10 speeches in it. And you'll notice here that as this goes on, once you do Competent Communicator, you can do an Advanced Communicator of Bronze, and Advanced Communicator Silver, and Gold. Each one of them has more required of it than the previous one had. And that stands to reason. The idea is that we get better as we go along, and therefore the challenge can become greater. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that once you finish that Competent Communication manual, that basic manual that we all start with, they will send you any two of the advanced manuals you want. And then if you do those two manuals, you get an Advanced Communicator Bronze. The idea is to get everybody in the habit of doing the awards and moving along. As you go up, you have to do more things, obviously. The leadership track is somewhat similar, but it has some important differences too. It starts with a manual. That's the other manual you got when you joined at Skylar. You don't have these manuals yet, but very shortly after Eric, I know Eric has actually already submitted your dues. Probably 10 days, 2 weeks, you'll get a package with these manuals in it. But the Competent Leader Manual has 10 projects in it. It's composed mostly of things that you can do right at the meeting, the various duties and whatnot. As you move up the line to Advanced Leader Bronze and whatnot, you have to do other things. You have to be a club officer, that sort of thing. Advanced Leader Silver requires you to be a district type officer, like Vicki is right now. I've been in the past, Jack has been. Were you a district, an area governor or anything like that along the line? Okay. Anyway, and then finally at the end of the line, if you do all of the things on both of those columns, you end up with a Distinguished Toastmaster, with an DTM. Right now in our club, there are two of us with DTMs. Christina has one and I do too. The graphic illustration of this is on the other side, and you can see how the two tracks work, and the idea is that you move along them. Now, this is actually the purpose of Toastmasters. The club exists in order to benefit the members of the club and not the other way around. However, unless the members of the club are active and engaged in performing the duties and whatnot, the club can't exist, right? It can't function without people doing what they need to do. So let's think about this a little bit. Every year, in order to become a distinguished or better club, we have to measure ourselves against 10 goals. Now, 6 of those 10 goals are related to that handout. They are 4 things that people do on the handout. For example, if we get 2 people get competent communicator awards, that's 1 goal. 2 more of them is another goal. Then if 1 person gets an advanced communicator award of one of the 3 times, that's another goal. 1 more of those is another goal. And a leadership award is another goal, another leadership award. So it's the bulk of the goals, 6 of the 10 goals, refer to what people are doing as individuals as they advance along the 2 tracks. The other 4 goals are club business type goals. 2 of them are for 4 new members and then 4 more new members. We'll talk a little bit more about the importance of new members in a moment. Then we also have to get 4 officers trained twice each year, and then finally submit our dues on time twice each year too. What does this amount to? If people in the club are active and engaged and progressing along in their tracks, and if we keep attracting new members, and if we do the business functions, get our officers trained and pay our dues and whatnot, we're going to get recognized, and that's what those ribbons do. President's Distinguished Club, we've been President's Distinguished 4 times, meets 9 of the 10 goals. A Select Distinguished Club meets 7 of the 10, and a Distinguished Club meets 5 of the 10. Now there is a wrinkle. In order to be eligible for this program, we have to meet a certain level of membership, okay? And it's one of 2 things. We either have to have 20 people at the end of June each year, or if we don't have 20 people, we have to have gained 5 against the previous year, a net gain of 5 against the previous year. Why is that important? Well, any of you who have been members for very long know that people come and go. We have people join and then drift away. There's one guy in our little set of badges over there who attended exactly 1 meeting. He came, decided he loved it, wrote a check on the spot, gave it to Eric, filled out his form, we've never seen him again. I wouldn't know him if I bumped into him on the sidewalk. We have other people who have drifted off here in October for various reasons. A lot of them are job-related, time-related, family-related, and whatnot. Things happen. People come and people go. And so we have to view membership as kind of a conveyor belt. In other words, new people keep coming on at the bottom of the belt, and they progress up the top. Well, they go off the belt. And unless you keep loading things onto the bottom of the belt, pretty soon it's going to be empty. Okay? That has happened to clubs. In fact, isn't it happening to Moses Lake right now?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. They go through that crisis about once a year or so.
Pretty often.
Yeah. I remember a day, I wish Eric were here because he'd remember too. The first year I was a member of this club, when people came into a meeting and 5 people told us they were quitting that night. And they were all job related. They'd been transferred away or something like that. And at that time, that was 1/3 of our members. One night, boom, out the door. That kind of gets your attention when something like that happens. There's no such thing as a club that just cruises along. We have to get new members, and that's really important. Now, the obvious question in all of this is, why should you care? In other words, if you're getting what you want to out of membership, who cares whether the club gets another ribbon at the end of the year? Well, the reason you should care is that those 10 goals measure how active, and dynamic, and effective the club is. When there comes a time that we're not meeting those goals, it's because people aren't doing much in terms of speaking or anything, or we're losing members, or we're not getting people to carry out the functions of the club. So we're kind of locked in a sort of an embrace with the individual and the club depend on each other for help. And so it's really important to do it. I will tell you this, I visited a lot of clubs, and it's a lot more fun to be in a large active club than it is to be in a tiny club where it becomes hard work. A good illustration of that is the other club in Wenatchee, the Electric Toasters. When I first visited them the year I was area governor, they were down to 5 people. And it is really, really difficult to do meetings when there are just 5 people. Everybody has to do everything at every meeting. And they were not having fun at all. The group's much better off now because I think it's up to, I'm sure, 10 or 11 people, something like that now, that's slowly growing. Our club, technically, on paper, we are at about 26 or 27 people, but I know of 5 people who did not renew on October 1. Now, of course, we picked up 2 more too, so the idea is to keep growing up. So what can you do? Okay, 3 things. First, keep doing speeches, keep doing things in your competently, your manual and like that. Get your money out, worth out of the club. You paid, you might as well do it. It's a little bit like the health club thing. You know, lots of people join health clubs and then never go. Well, you don't get much if you don't go. So you need to go. You know, people join the YMCA and then never go. You know, kind of puzzling in a lot of ways. So keep moving along in your program. You'll get the benefit if you do the program. The second thing is we need to attract new members. Now, here's one way that you personally can help with that. Think to yourself, do you know somebody, like a coworker, a family member, a friend, who would benefit from being in Toastmasters? I will bet you any amount of money you can name that the answer is yes, you do. You probably know lots of people who can benefit from being in Toastmasters. Invite them to a meeting. That's actually the most effective way to get someone in the door, is to personally invite them. It's really easy to ignore a poster or a website or whatever. It's pretty hard to ignore a person who's, you know, your friend who's inviting you to come. And you claim that you died or something, I guess, you can't go, but it's tough to do. The third thing you can do, I guess, is to just talk up Toastmasters in general. Now, it's important to do that in the right way. There's a former member named Pam Coleman. She's told this story herself, so I'm not speaking behind her back. But she came up to another former member named Rita Salama, who's moved to California, at a church gathering where Rita had given a little speech. And she said to Rita to her face, "Boy, you have a lot to say, but you're a terrible speaker. You should come to Toastmasters." Now, you kind of have to know Pam to see what she's just that way. Pam is one of those people who says what she thinks. Yeah, you know. But it worked, believe it or not. Rita showed up, and it did help her a lot too. But a lot of people would just say, "What? Stick it in your ear, in the eye or something," if you said that to them. But anyway, so be a little tactful. Don't tell people they're crappy speakers, and because they may not respond well. In any event, what you need to do is think about the educational program. That's on your handout here, and keep moving along. Just keep chugging along. Like everything else, if you get yourself in a pattern, if you get yourself in the habit of doing a speech every now and then, they'll move right along and you'll get the benefit from it. It's a little bit like learning anything else, learning to play tennis or golf or ride a horse or whatever. If you do it regularly, you tend to get better at it fairly quickly. If there are large gaps between your speeches, then you lose the benefit. So that is what it amounts to being a distinguished club. It's an individual thing and a group thing at the same time. Mr. Toastmaster.